Hello, this is Dr. Jason Johnson coming to you live from my YouTube channel. I don't usually do this, but there is so much that's happening. I am doing this post today. I hadn't planned on doing anything probably until Friday, but there's too many different things that have happened. Anyway, if you're watching this right now on Instagram, you know the drill. This is only going to be about the first minute where I explain what the topics are that I'm going to talk about. And then you got to move over to YouTube where I'll do much more extensive discussions. YouTube is for long-term conversations. Instagram is more for breaking news, current events, and I goodness gracious, literally a lot is going on today. So anyway, as per the usual, like, subscribe, please share. Did my first live on Monday. You guys have been great. You've been fantastic. The numbers have been amazing. Probably going to plan some new lives fairly soon. Here are the three topics of today that I got to get to. Number one, Pastor Jamal Bryant talking to Cardi B about Target. This is news. This is important. We got to get to this. Number two, Karine Jean-Pierre dropping her new book, Independent. Former White House press secretary leaving the Democratic Party. This is huge. This is important. And number three, the New York Knicks have fired Tom Thibodeau. And I have something I got to tell you guys about leadership in New York, which also is going to have to do with Hakeem Jeffries. So anyway, those are the three topics. Like I said, three topics for today. We are starting right now. So, okay, let's start with Pastor Jamal Bryant and Cardi B. I don't know if you've had a chance to see this, but Cardi B was at Target about 48 hours ago and was posting videos and pictures of herself at Target, right? Blah, 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 blah. She's at Target. She's shopping with her friends, shopping with her kids, right? Pastor Jamal Bryant, in case you haven't been paying attention, Pastor Jamal Bryant has been one of the, not the only, there's Tamika Mallory, there's lots of other people involved, but Pastor Bryant has been one of the most vocal leaders behind leading a boycott by African Americans and some Latinos of Target. And the boycotting of Target is because Target said we're getting rid of all of our DEI programs in order to basically bend the knee to Donald Trump. Black folks spend like $12 billion, whatever it is, dollars a year at Target. And Pastor Jamal Bryant has said, amongst others, again, key, has been like, hey, if y'all don't want to spend any money with us, y'all want to get rid of DEI, y'all don't want to put money into HBCUs, you guys don't want to work with black banks, you ain't taking our money no more. So those are the two sides, right? Here's why this is important. And I want to make this clear because it's, like I said, this is such a crazy news thing for me. First off, I am a fan, I guess, of Cardi B, right? To the extent that, I mean, do I have a lot of her music? Do I have a bunch of Cardi B shirts or whatever? No, like I don't, but for the most part, when she's had songs, I find them to be nominally entertaining. I think most of the opinions that she's expressed, I mean, she's very kind of millennial sometimes. Like she goes online, she talks about things. She has an interest in politics. I couldn't care less about her situation with Offset and whether or not she's going to pay him child support. That's not my business. That's not my concern. That's a whole other conversation about sort of the politics of child support. But I've respected the fact that when she came out and supported Bernie, she makes a big point of trying to be politically involved and engaged, right? So the question here is not whether or not, Cardi B should or should not have been shopping at Target. We'll get to that. Or even whether or not Jamal Bryant should have said anything. We'll get to that. The bigger issue is, what the hell are our expectations of anybody who makes money primarily off of the black community, but does not seem to be in alignment with or support of policies and positions that we have, right? Cardi B is a rap star. Cardi B's fame and popularity is driven in large part by her connection to black and Latino culture. But there's lots of black folk who support her and like her music and blah, blah, blah. And she's a mother of black children, all these kinds of wonderful things, right? If you make your money off black people and you are continuing to patronize a place that has shown hostility towards our community, what is the right response, right? Now, Pastor Jamal Bryant's response, and I say this to somebody, I don't know Jamal Bryant. I've been in chats with him. I don't know the man personally, right? But Jamal Bryant's response, I think, was fair and reasonable. And he said, hey, look, Cardi B, with much love, I know you're busy. Maybe you didn't know there was this whole boycott thing going on for the last 6 or 7 months. Would really love your support. You got 120 something million followers. It'd be really, really nice if you checked out what our movement was about and maybe decided to not post Target, right? Some people are like, oh my gosh, why didn't he make a personal phone call? Why would he call her out like that? Look, you people are wrong, right? Anybody who thinks that is wrong. You know why you're wrong? Because Cardi B lives her life online. And if you live your life online, then you are subject to criticism about what you post. You can't be posting stuff online and then turn around and say, I can't believe you guys are all up in my business. You ain't got to share your business. Trust me, there's all sorts of stuff I ain't never going to put online, right? Because I don't care to hear anybody else's opinion. I do other kinds of work. So what Pastor Jamal Bryant did was fine. We have no idea if he tried to personally reach out to her or if his people tried to reach out to her. Maybe he did. But the truth of the matter is, she did a public thing, so it makes sense for him to publicly respond, right? I have no criticism of that. Cardi B has said nothing. As of this recording, this morning, Wednesday, Cardi B has said nothing. Maybe she won't say anything. Maybe she'll reach back out. In her defense, and it's not much of a defense, Cardi B has, from a branding standpoint, she's gone to Target a lot. If you look up Cardi B and Target on Google or YouTube, you see all sorts of videos about her. That's kind of her brand. It's like, even though I am Cardi B and I have all this money and I have all these expenses, which she talks about with her divorce situation with Offset, she's like, I still shop at Target. So it's part of her branding. I don't know if she has a professional relationship with Target, but she does go there from time to time. I'll say this in conclusion about this. If you make your money off black people, whether you are a star, whether you are a celebrity, whether you are an athlete, whether you are a business, if you make your money off black people and you stand with organizations, positions, or policies that are not in favor of us or are hostile to us, I think it's reasonable to take my money elsewhere. I will never buy a Saquon Barkley jersey, right? I will never buy, there's lots of people who I won't patronize because they've associated themselves with an authoritarian and white supremacist regime. That's me. Am I not going to work with you because you own a Tesla? I don't know. It depends on when you bought the Tesla, right? But for the most part, it'll be very interesting to see how this plays out. I hope Cardi B responds in a positive way. I hope she stops shocking at Target, right? Just because I think it's bad for her brand in addition to the larger message here. But I will also say this overall. Look, celebrities ain't leaders, right? They're not leaders. They're not people who we have to get our ideas and ideologies from and everything else like that. But again, know your audience. And if I know who my audience is, and I do something that my audience may not be happy with, the market alone should tell me to act a little better. That's the first thing. Second topic. This one has a bunch of caveats. Karine Jean-Pierre, who's an amazing, talented, really intelligent woman, former White House press secretary, the first openly queer press secretary, Haitian American, great person. I say this with an initial caveat. I've known Karine for years, like 10 or 15 years. I just saw this news. I haven't had a chance to talk to her, so I'm not talking about Karine Jean-Pierre, the person, okay? She just dropped a brand new book called Independent, and the big blurb that has come out in all the news sites is that she's announcing, and she talks about in this book, how she was tired of a broken White House. Remember, this woman's White House press secretary. She used to work for Vice President Kamala Harris, and she's now an independent. I'm going to say this because I think this is super important. And again, I'm going to reach out to Karine because I know her, right? And I think these things are important. I always think it's an important caveat. When you got people that you know, it's kind of like I was saying about Cardi B and Jamal Bryant. If you got people that you know, you got to be careful how you talk about them because you should always show them the respect of speaking to them, right? And I haven't had a chance to see the book. The book announcement just came out today. I'm going to say this. There are three kinds of books that people write when they leave the White House, right? Depending on how they leave and what happens, right? Number one is, it was all me, right? One kind of book people write is like, that's right, everything we did, it was me. That's like the Pluff books. A lot of Obama people wrote that. It's like everybody wants to take credit for how great it was. These are the lessons I learned from Obama. So the I won is all me books, right? Number two is the it's not my fault kind of book, right? That's when things went bad and people are like, hey, it wasn't me. It wasn't me. It was the Shaggy defense. It wasn't me. All these bad things happened at the White House. You can't put it on me. It's not my responsibility. And the third kind of book you get is Watch What Happens. And the Watch What Happens books are very interesting because it's one of those things where it's usually when you leave the White House when they're still in office and you're sort of like, I can't tell you what's going to happen, but if you read my book and read the tea leaves, I'm telling you what's about to go down. I think Karine Jean-Pierre's book, by this description, is in the second category. It's the it ain't my fault, right? It ain't my fault kind of thing. And it's known politically, I'm not telling any secrets out of school, that there were tensions in this White House about Harris, about Biden and everything else like that. And so it'll probably fall into the second category. But what I will say is this, and I don't care if I said this about Jake Tapper's book, I'm saying this about Corinne Jean-Pierre's book, and I'm saying this about the 3 or 4 other books that are going to be coming out about the Biden administration over the course of the summer. What I don't care about, what I will not respect, and what I don't appreciate, do not give me a book where you say, I knew everything was wrong and I knew everything was terrible and you didn't do anything about it. That I don't want to hear. That's one of the criticisms I've had somewhat of Jake Tapper's book, right? This idea that if you knew things were this bad, why didn't you say anything? Right? If you knew they were this bad, why didn't you say anything? And if you didn't say anything, it better be because, hey, I knew this, I couldn't get it on the record, or my bosses told me I couldn't. But what you're not going to do is say, yeah, I saw the nuclear plant was leaking, and it was making people sick, but I didn't want to tell anybody until my book was ready. I don't want to hear that from nobody. I mean, that's ridiculous, and it's a complete abdication of responsibility. So I don't know which take we're going to hear from Corinne Jean-Pierre. I'm interested in this book. I will probably actually read this one and give you guys my review on it. But those are the 3 categories. And as a reader, you should always look for those different kinds of categories because they're going to tell you something. And if you have somebody who's saying, I was all up in the lion's mouth and things were just out of control, then they better be the person who's saying, look, I tried to stop them, but they stopped me. Right? That's what you got to say. So that's number 2, independent Corinne Jean-Pierre book. Number 3, real quick, I gotta say this, and this is based on, hopefully you guys can see this video. I went on Michael Steele's Man of Steel podcast on the Bulwark. Please check it out. It should be listed probably under this video somewhere. It was a great time. It was me, April Ryan, Eugene Daniels, and Rick Wilson, right? And Michael Steele's kind of closing down his podcast. So, this is one of the last times we all got together. And we had this very interesting conversation about leadership and whether or not Hakeem Jeffries is doing a good job in his leadership of the Democratic Party. And I'm going to relate that to something that's probably as if not more exciting to me, which is the New York Knicks fired Coach Tom Thibodeau. Coach Tom Thibodeau was the coach of the Knicks. The Knicks just lost in the Eastern Conference Finals to that hated Indiana Pacers team. I hate the Indiana Pacers. I can't stand Tyrese Halliburton. And then they fired the coach. And most people would say, wait a minute. Why would you fire a coach? Why would you fire a coach that just took your team to the Eastern Conference Finals? And they won, they took it to a 6-game series. Okay, they were the higher seed, but they faced a really, really hot team. Why would you do that now? Because sometimes people are good, but they ain't the coach for the moment. You know what I'm saying? They're good, but they're not the coach for the moment, and they're not the person who's going to take you forward. And I relate that to another leader named Hakeem Jeffries, who's from the state of New York. Hakeem Jeffries is the leader of the Democrats in the House. He seems like a perfectly confident, reasonable person. I've met him once or twice, right? But you literally have a situation right now where you've had Democratic mayors getting arrested and Democratic members of Congress getting arrested and federal agents, mad because you're flagrant, marching into Nadler's office, Jerry Nadler's office, and arresting members of his staff. And all we hear from the leader of the Democratic Party is, we won't stand for this. How you not standing for it? So you know what? Sometimes we talk about leadership in the state of New York. Sometimes you are a brave, noble, wonderful person who's really smart and really, really engaging, but you may not be the person for the moment. I don't know if Hakeem Jeffries is the person for the moment or the person for the future. But I will tell you this right now. The Democratic Party, unlike the Knicks, haven't overachieved. The Democratic Party has not exceeded expectations in any shape, way, or form since the election of November 2024. Now, I don't know what position Hakeem Jeffries is going to be in after the midterms next year. I don't talk about midterms, but I'll tell you this. If the Knicks were willing to say, as great as we did right now, it's time to get rid of this leader in New York and move forward, the Democratic Party as a whole might want to take a really serious look at whether or not the entire leadership team that they have now is a leadership team that can take them forward. That's me. That's 3 things. Thank you all so much. I had to get this out. I'll talk to you later. It's Jason Johnson.